Hi everybody, hello, and welcome, of course. Welcome to the new subscribers that have recently joined us, and hello and thank you to all my loyal subscribers who always watch me. I'm very grateful to you all. Now, on, I think it was Saturday, I posted this in Artie Mays and Friends, is it called, I think? Because this was inspired by something that Andrea at Artie Mays did. She did a watercolor background, then she stamped an image on them. But I thought, well, oh yeah, that's what happened. She suggested that we go to a YouTube channel called The Creative Cove. And I went there, and honestly, it just rekindled all my love and desire for painting, sketching, drawing, and all things like that. So I did these, posted them on the Artie Mays page and said, look what you've started, sort of thing. And so many of you liked them and asked how I did them, etc. So here's a quick video on kind of what I did. These are what I did the first day. A couple of little pockets there. This is an envelope. Nice inclusion for a journal. These two big journaling cards, a couple of little tags. But they're all made ostensibly, well, with the exception of that, they're all made ostensibly the same way. So I will endeavour to show you how I did it. Hope it doesn't go too wrong. So I'm using a piece of mixed media paper. It's the same, I think, both sides, so it doesn't matter. And what I'm going to do first is stick this to the to my surface. So I'm using my glass mat, and I'm going to stick this down. Now, I've tried washi and all sorts of things, and I find the best thing to use is a low-tack washi tape. They're meant to be repositionable, so they should be fine. So I'm sticking it down to my board. I'm using one that I will never use for its intended purpose. It says follow your dream. Well, that's not the kind of thing that I would put in any of my journals. And then up the sides. And we need to do this because the paper is going to get quite wet. Try and make it straight if you can, because that will be the edge of our tags or journaling cards or whatever. And burnish it down, because otherwise the water will seep under it and you might as well not bother. So I think for this video I'll make 3 large journaling tags. Oh, I've come to the end of my washi. Oh, that's sad. Oh well. Let's move on to another one. I've got this one here. It's also low tack. Pop that along the top. Oh, it's very low tack. Doesn't even want to stick. There we go. Now then, what to do? That's too tall for a journaling tag. So if I made them that sort of height, I could probably get 2 smaller tags from the bottom as well. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that. So I'm not measuring these, as you can see. They'll end up what they end up. Wonder if I could get, yeah, probably can actually get another couple out of there. They're going to be a bit tall and skinny, but that's okay. There's always places in your journal for just about every size of journaling card. And I'm just going to split that in 2 there. So that's it. That's our taping up done. should be okay everywhere, I think. So the next thing, paint. And I'm using watercolor. That could do with being moved over a little bit, I think. Test the theory. Oh, look, see? Because I don't want it to stick, it's sticking. It's gonna have to stay there now. That's a bit of a curse. Anyway, let's proceed. I'm just using my Derwent paints. They're not expensive paints by any stretch, but they are quite nicely pigmented and they do the job that we want very well. So I'm just going to spray these to waken them up a little bit. Paints themselves are really mucky actually. Okay, so I want a sort of light browny sort of colour, that's what I'm after. So I'm going to take this really rough, cheap brush. It came in a set of something else, I don't know, it's nasty anyway. And I'm going to use this light browny orangey colour. Make sure that you've got one of these close by, a water sprayer. So I've picked up my paint, I'm now going to add quite a bit of water to it to dilute it down. And we'll see how we go. Right, so I'm just going to add this to the corner, and there is no skill in this, it's just dibbly dabbly. Add some water to it. Watercolour always dries much lighter. You'd be surprised. You put it on and you think, oh, that's very dark, but it will dry lighter, I promise you. So I'm just spreading out those edges there just to make them sort of cover the page like that. That's fine. Now then, I'm going to go in for the same colour but more pigment and just darken that edge down the corner down there. Same with this one here, just to sort of frame our tag once we've got it made. Plenty of water. Lovely. I quite like that corner up there as it is, so I'll leave that be. Says she, dibbly dabbling away. There we are. So that's one done. One done. Background finished. Okay. So let's do another one of the same sort of ilk. Put some in the corner. Give it some water so you can spread it readily. So there's no kind of science to this. No, there's no skill to it. It's just you put your paint on, you spray it so it all merges nicely together. I'm kind of using the side of my brush, I guess, more than anything. Now, I think I want a nice sort of colour in the corner. Ooh, that's dark. This is a purple colour. It's very, very bright coloured. So I'm just going to pop that there. I'm going to put another bit down the other corner. I'm going to wash that out of my brush and just feather it along like that. But try and leave a good dark bit right in the corner. Because the paper's wet already, it's trying to spread by itself, that's fine. So there we are, another background done. Doesn't take long, does it? Let's do this one next. So that's going to be going this way. It's going to be a tag and it'll go that way. So let's add a bit of yellow to our background colour. See what that does for it. Ooh, it makes it quite bright, too bright for my liking. Let's add a bit of brown. So this is all I do, I just keep adding and taking away till I get a colour that I like. So that's probably alright, quite like that. You don't even have to cover your whole tag, you can leave the centre with nothing on it if you want to. Quite like that. Is the brown too dark on its own? Maybe. Yeah, let's wash my brush out. There we go. And maybe just a dot in that corner there. Wash my brush out and then just drag that out a little bit. There we go. I've got a puddle here which I don't really want, so I'm just going to take a piece of rag, piece of towel, and just mop that up, and you'll see it really affect the, see, it gives you a completely different background, which I like actually, I like a lot. So there we go, that's that one. Right, moving along. Maybe a nice pale pink or something would be quite nice. I don't know. Let's try that. So I've got red. Ooh, that is red. Let's swap these around. What's this? Is this pink? Yeah, that's a nice pink, isn't it? Okay, let's add quite a bit of water to that from the brush, because that's too bright, I think. Maybe even a little bit more, but we are going to water it down a bit from the spray. So, oh, that's pretty, isn't it? Ooh, that's pretty. So I'm just going to spray that a bit so we can move it around. So I'm not putting very much pigment on this, you know, very much paint at all. Spreading that out, and that will dry lighter, and it's already light, so we're okay. I'm just going to take a drop of the pure paint, put it in there, and another drop for this bottom corner here. You can see as soon as you add water to it, it wants to spread. Spread its wings and fly. This is really relaxing thing to do, I tell you. I mean, not if you're videoing it, because, you know, it just isn't. But if you're at home doing this by yourself, it's a lovely thing to do. I think I'm going to do another one of those pink ones. I really quite like that. So I'm just using the cheapest of cheap scrubby brushes here, because you really don't need a fancy brush for this, because all you're doing is scrubbing colour in. That's it, that's all you're doing, like that. I'm just going to get a little darker hint here, maybe come down a bit further. Like that, and I'm just going to add a little bit of water just to soften that so it can spread. Don't need any more than that there, I don't think. That's lovely. Lovely. Yeah, that's great. It was great before I put those two brush marks in it. There we are, that's fine. And once again, it's pooling, so I'm just going to take this and pick up the bits in the middle there. That's nice. So we've just got this one left to do. So what colour shall we do it? Blue. How about blue? We haven't had blue yet. Yeah, let's use this one. Actually, if I mix... Ooh, that is a bright blue, isn't it? If I mix some of that in there, am I going to get purple? Yeah, sort of. Should we do that? Should we do purple? Why not? Wow, that is purple. That's really purple. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? Sort of granulating. You can see little grains in it. You can buy paint that's granulating. It's called granulating paint, obviously. And it forms these little sort of cells, which is lovely. Right. That's going to spill out if I'm not careful. So once again, although I like this, I'm just going to lift some of it out. So it's a bit much. There we go. That's fine. So now all we have to do is wait for them to dry. It'll take a while because they're on a glass board. You can heat dry them if you want to. Nothing wrong with that. But I'd give them 5 minutes just to settle down and then give them some heat. So I'll see you when these are dry. Right, well, it's all dry. And I discovered for the first time that the way to take off washi tape or anything adhesive, I guess, is to take it off when the glue is warm, because it just wants to come off. So I've gone ahead and taken all of the tape off, and you can see where I tried to reposition that and it pulled the paper. It's gone over a little bit, but that's the only thing. The rest, it's worked perfectly. Oh well, maybe down here. And considering the amount of water I had sloshing around in it, it's quite remarkable, really. So now, what you could do at this stage definitely is stamp on them. And I would recommend, if you stamp on them, that you stamp once kind of full strength, and then once, I can't remember what you call it, a secondary stamp. There's a word for it. I've forgotten what it is. And then maybe even a third stamp. So you've got a mixture. Second generation. Thanks, Mr. F. And third generation as well, possibly even, I would say. And I think that would look quite nice on there. As it is, I think for the main part, I might stamp on some, but for the main part, I think we're just going to doodle, really. So let's give ourselves a reference. Let's just put a stem in. I'm just sketching with my ordinary pencil. And I'm just going to put leaves in this one. That's all. I think that's all I'm going to put in. So just a very leaf-shaped leaf, if you know what I mean. This one we could have turning up a little bit, like that. Another one here, perhaps. I just want to give them little bits of character so they're not all identical. Have this one curling over a little bit, like that. So just take your time, enjoy the process. And one more here. There we are. So let's think about painting those then. So I need green, not that green. Oh, maybe the light green. And that's kind of the green that I want, I think. Where's my cheap nasty brush? For this you do need a piece of kitchen roll or similar in your hand. And I just want to mix myself up some green. So I'm using this, which I think is pretty much like sap green. So some of that, and I'm going to put some of this lighter green in just to brighten it, because it can look a bit dull on its own. So there we are, a little bit of water. There we have it. Get rid of all that paint on your brush. And now I'm going to use a detail brush, really. It's possibly a little bit small for this job, but I like the feel of it in my hand. So just load it up. Let's just start. So we want it dark, a bit round in the middle, and and darker on this side possibly. Quite light on the top. Don't beat yourself up about this. You know, if they come out and they're not how you want them, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? You know, it's just, who's going to know, for one thing, and it just doesn't matter. It's a bit of paper. But give it a try, because I'm sure you'll love it. Even if your results are not what you might have hoped, I bet you'll enjoy it. If you give yourself permission to enjoy it. So I'm just sort of not colouring in the whole leaf, as it were. Just bits. We can come in later with a darker colour if we need to, a darker shade of it if we need to. And by getting a darker shade, all you need to do is add more paint to the mix and it'll darken it down. So yeah, just take your time. Well, that's a big fat leaf. I think I got carried away when I drew him. It's a good idea to always go in the way that the leaf sort of grows. So from the, you know, the centre stem out, really. And this one's going to be very dark underneath because it's twisted over like that. And then it's probably got some light on the top. So it's just artistic license. Put the light where you think it is. You don't need to go out with a torch and see where the leaf fits, where the light's falling on it. Our last one. Right, so there we are. Now then, looking at, I mean, it's dry already. I do need some darker regions. I'm actually just going to put my stem in now because it's kind of knocking everything off kilter. So I'm going to use a rigger brush. Load that up. Just put this stem in. Like that, that's fine. Maybe needs to be getting a little bit thicker as we get towards the bottom, I think. As the leaves join on it, it naturally gets thicker. So thicken it out a little bit. Maybe even a touch more from here down. Yeah, that's fine. Happy with that. Now then, let's add some more paint, actual paint, which was this one, to our mix, which will give us a darker shade of it. And then we can put things in like the central vein and anything else that we think we might need to define it as a leaf. So a little bit along there. And maybe just coming out a couple of places. Maybe even along the bottom there. So I am just taking my time. I am not a fast painter by any stretch. And neither do you feel that you need to be. You shouldn't be if you don't want to be. So that bit round there is going to be very dark. Probably don't need a lot else with that. You'll see as it dries they will stand out because they're darker than the rest. So I want to make that look like it's folded up a little bit. Okay. I can't really speak and paint. I've tried many times, but it just doesn't seem to work. So sorry I can't entertain you with silly stories. Okay, that's kind of it. That's all you need to do. It's very, very simple, really straightforward, but I think that would look nice as a journal card, actually. Right, so moving along. I've still got a ton of this green mixed up, so I'd quite like to use it. I might do one where it's more like thin leaves, sort of coming out of a piece of grass. Let's try that. So very droopy, thin leaves. So these are just, you can see, very, very simple shapes. I might have one on the top that's coming over. Sometimes they go to sort of curly bits on the end. That's probably sufficient. Probably don't need anything more than that. So just to get me started, I'm going to put the stem in. With my rigger. And these stems go into the grass leaves or whatever they are. I don't know what they are. I just invented them. There we go. Right, okay. So, what do we need here? I'm going to make that darker still, or at least part of it darker still. And I'm going to do the sort of bit that would be kind of underneath in that dark colour. I'm leaving a little piece in the centre that I can leave a lighter colour, I think. I think that's what I'm doing. Time will tell. I generally find it's not a good plan to start painting without a plan of some sort, and I don't actually have a plan, so this might be one for the bin, but that's okay. I won't beat myself up about it, it just happens. After this one I'll show you how I make those puffball sort of ones. Somebody wanted to know how to do that. So now moving into the more diluted paint, which will show up lighter on the finished piece. Well, that's still quite dark. Down to that point. And this one, the same thing. Down to that point. Leave a little gap in the middle so it looks like the stem. Yep, that's fine. So there's nothing fancy going on here. The leaves aren't turning over on themselves or anything. It's just straightforward. All we've done, you could say in any way fancy, is we've used 2 different dilutions of the paint. That's all. Everything else is absolutely straightforward. And you can see as it's drying that they're drying. The first one that we put on with the most pigment in has dried much darker than this one that we're putting on now. It's just the way it is. The more water you add, the more dilute it gets, so the paler it looks. Right, let's get the rigger and see if we can draw some curly cues at the end of this. That'd be good. So just at the end, I just want some little curls, because sometimes it does this sort of thing, doesn't it? Yeah, that's interesting. Added to the interest factor. So now I think I want to go back on my stem and kind of reinforce that a little bit. It's looking a bit pale and uninteresting. So go into both the dark and the lighter one here. So let's just give that a bit more substance. There we go. So this is art for crafters. It's not art for artists. It's how to make your own journal cards when you're not really a painter. So just thicken that stem up a little bit as it comes down. And there we are. There's another one. Quite interesting. I do like the background on that one. Right, so now some people wanted to know how to make the excuse me, frog in my throat again. How to make the ones that look like puffballs. These ones. There's a blue one as well. They are the most straightforward of all of them. So let's use this one up and just draw it with my pencil. I just want maybe one here, going up to one up at the top, one down here, like that. And the stem can go down then. What leaves did I put on that? Oh, quite jaunty leaves. Okay, so they come out like that. This one seems to be going up, so I'll just take my cue from that, and that's about it. Oh no, there was another one there. This is going to be in this flower, but it doesn't really matter. I'll just draw it that far, then we'll get the flower in. Okay, so let's put the flowers in first before we put the stems in, etc. And then we can make sure that the stems don't interfere with the flowers. So I'm just going to take my detail brush. Well, I'm going to mix up some brown first of all. So I'm going to take that colour that we used for the background before and some of the brown, mix that together. Just checking you could see what I was doing. Right, so we've got quite a strong mix there. It's had no additional water added to it. So load your brush up. This is the easiest, and just point. Put the point down and go random as you want. And once you've worked out what sort of size you want your flower to be, or your dead flower should I say, probably nearer the mark, then don't go over that boundary, but leave some areas. Don't put it all in. Leave some areas. So that's that one to that stage. Then this one, and just randomly dot. And this is all about the dilution of your paint. That's fine, I think. Then this one here, this one might be off the side of the page, I don't know, we'll see when we get there. Side of the tag, I should say. Yeah, it looks to me like it's kind of just off the side of the tag, that's okay. Right, so let's have another look. There's probably an area on here that we want to make darker and leave one lighter. So I'm going to make this side down here my dark side. So I'm going to put some more of that, the full throttle paint on there. Just round like that. And the same with the other two. On the side that you decide as your dark side, add more of this paint that we're using now that hasn't been diluted with any water. So we're going to have a darker side, and then here our dark side is actually mostly off the page, but never mind. So I'm not putting any dashes down or anything. You can mix up your dots and your dashes if you want to. Right, so that's that. We've kind of given them a little bit of shape. Now what we want to do is dilute this down. So add water to it, quite a bit of water, like that, which will, as we now know, give us a much paler colour, because we've diluted it. So pick that up and then start in the lighter areas, and don't be afraid, it will look quite dark, but it won't dry, that colour. So just merrily dot your way around. And there will be some light bits in with the dark, so go over that. I'm going to leave an area quite near the middle that hasn't got much of anything in. Maybe not that size, actually, not quite that big, like that. And I'm just going to do the same with the other ones. Put the lighter diluted paint down. And you'll see when it dries, we've got two different colours. Well, hopefully we have anyway. Yeah, we have. I can see it drying already. If you want to make it paler than this, that's fine. If I made it paler than this, it wouldn't show up on camera, so there would have been no real point to it. Oops. I'm just giving it a bit of an irregular edge. It's all looking a bit regular, a bit even, which we don't want. So I'm just going round with my lighter colour. There we go. So those are our puffy flowers, as the girl described them, the lady described them. I seem to have a pattern in that one that I don't really want. Okay, there we go, that's fine. And you can keep dabbing and dotting and lightening your colour even more, whatever you fancy. So now we just need to put in the stems and the the leaves. This, I feel, this plant is dying. It's kind of in its last throes. So I don't want to do it a really vibrant green. I really want to do it a sort of browny, that browny colour where in autumn everything sort of goes that colour, don't they? So just add some brown to that mix that we had. Put these stems in. Where they join, sometimes you get a little bit of a sort of notch, and then it's thicker then as it leaves. So I'm just putting a bit of a notch in, thickening that line up a little bit. I'm going to put a notch in there where that one joins on. And then we can do this bottom stem a bit thicker again. Okay, so it's just the leaves to do. And once again, I think they're mostly going to be brown. I feel them brown. You could put yellow in them if you wanted to. That was a bit severe. Too much water. There we go. And the next one, well, I'll do this one actually next. That's sort of flipped over on itself, and it's going behind that flower, so you can't really see it. And then I want a little bit of brown for this bit here that's underneath. So I think that's all everybody wanted to know. I hope I've encouraged you to pick up your paintbrush or your pencil at least and give it a go, because it's just fun. And don't if you've never done it before, don't be cross with yourself if you get it wrong. How can you get it right what I always say is, these piano maestros, they weren't born playing a piano like that. They had to practice, and they still do practice every day for hours. So, don't expect to be a fabulous painter on your first rodeo. It's not going to happen. There's too much brown in there, and I don't like it. There we go, that's all right. So that's that section of the... I've still got some to go, but I don't need to hold you while I do those. I'll just pause you momentarily. I'll clean my paints up and my brushes and my water and such like, and I shall see you in a second. Okay, so now they're dry, I've chopped them out, and they're ready for the next step. It's quite a lot of steps go into these, isn't it? So I'm using my VersaFine Clair, and I'm using my legible text stamp, and I'm not putting it on a block or anything. I don't want it on a block. I just want to put some of this over my painting. Like that. And I think it makes it, I don't know, just adds something really nice to it, I think. Just random, really random. A little bit down here. There we are. They look better already, don't they? Look better already. Don't worry if it goes over your painting. I feel that needs a little bit more, but I don't know where. Right, okay, so they're stamped as much as they're going to be. And now we set sail with a fine liner. So whichever fine liner you normally use, one that feels comfortable in your hand. And let's start with this one actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the fine liner in quite a sketchy manner, so it looks like they could have been hand drawn, which they were, but we want it to really look like that. So starting off with your leaf, go around the outside, but try not to stick to the actual line too much. Make it wavy. And on your stem. And it really brings it out, I think. like that. We can come back and put some details in the leaves if we want to. You can put a couple of passes on your leaves if you want to. Sometimes that looks nice. Just scribbly, scrawly. Just breaks it up. Gives it a nice kind of handmade look. Like that, and then down the main stem, down one side. Up the other. That's missed completely. That's alright, everything's alright, you can't do any harm to it. Right, okay, so now do we want to add any to the leaves? Yes, maybe. Maybe we do. Just a hint. Hint of a suggestion of that centre vein and some little veining on the leaves. There we go. Now around the outside I did a sort of just a doodle. You can do a faux stitch if you want to. I literally just took my line and wiggled it just around the edge of the painted section like that, and it just gives it a nice, I think, a nice border. You don't have to do it, of course. So on the second one round, I kind of stopped and put just double lines in it. I don't know why, that's just what I did. And they're not evenly spaced. I don't think they are, they're not intended to be. Just when the mood takes me. I think all this fine liner work really adds to it. But if you think, oh my good painting, and I'm just going over it, losing all the lines, then don't do it. But I think that looks loads better now than it looked before we did it. So that's that one. Let's move on to this one. Same thing. It looks really nice actually. I don't know if there's any ink left on my stamp, but no. I just feel like it needs a little bit up there. Yeah, maybe down there as well, you know. Yeah, that's fine. That's nice. It's nice now. Okay, so same thing. Squiggly line around your leaves. And you can go around twice if you want. Once is probably enough for that. And then a suggestion of things that you want to be happening in your leaves. So this is dark down here, so it's probably got more lines. Come down the stem, round here. It's not very squiggly, is it? And here's our stem. Let's shade it in as we go. This one's dark underneath. So I'll just exaggerate that a little bit. There we go. Down the stem again. Just loosen your hand up as you're doing this. Just make it nice and loose. And on this one, this is the darker side, so just help to exaggerate that a little bit. Somebody's decided to cut the grass. Somebody always does. You just get used to it. If you're making a video, somebody's going to cut the grass. So there we are, quite like the look of that. So now for the squiggly line around the edge. So yeah, there is quite a bit of work in doing these, but I think they're worth it. And it's nice to put something in your journal that you've painted yourself. So one more line around there. And then we've just got the puffball ones to do, which kind of remind me of dried hydrangea heads, although the leaves are definitely not hydrangea leaves because they have really big leaves. Nearly there. That's it. So that's those two done. That looks quite nice, I think. And because it's watercolour card, you don't even need back it. It's quite substantial enough for a tag. You could back it if you want to, of course you could. Right, these fellas. Okay, so they've got quite pronounced stems and that wiggly bit there. Let's put the stems in first. I'm not making this too squiggly actually. I mean, it's not perfectly sticking to the stem either, but right. So it's just a bit of fine detail, that's it. That's all we're aiming for, a bit of fine detail. Right, so that I'm happy with the leaves and the stems now. So here, what you can do, if you've got a thicker fine liner, mine's really thin, just dot some dots in on the side that you've allocated to be dark, you know, the darker side. Not many, just as you can see. And then the odd little one on the light side. And that just gives it a bit more definition. A little bit around here. And then over here, this is our dark side down here. Lovely, so just the squiggles to go. well done if you've stayed with me throughout. It's just quite a long procedure, really. And must be honest, I hadn't realised quite how long a procedure it was. There we go. Finished. So that's the puff bowly ones. They do look like that, actually. So that's our 3 journal cards that we've managed to make today. I've still got 3 left, waiting to be painted on. But as I say, you could, at this stage, once you've got your background painted, you could just stamp on it and it would look really nice. You know, it'd save you all the bother of doing all that, everything else. Just stamp on it. But make use of 2nd and 3rd generation stamps. I think it would look really nice. But here we are, I've got 3 of these. I'm quite pleased with them. They look fine. I would include them in one of my journals, definitely. I hope you enjoyed that, but more than that, I hope you're inspired to actually pick up a pen, a pencil, a paintbrush, whatever it is, and just create. And, you know, if you don't like it, turn the page over, write your name on it and write the date and pop it into a file or something. And then in months to come, when you've done this a lot and you practiced at it and whatever, look back at where you were and you'll see how far you've come and you'll feel really good about yourself. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you like them. Thanks a lot for watching. See you soon. Bye.